Prix, but only one driver can become Formula One world champion.
I like the sound of the cars and meeting all the drivers.
The sunshine may be lacking, but there's always a warm Aussie welcome when Formula One returns after the winter break. Ferrari retained their championship-winning formula. Jenson Button and Takuma Sato look to capitalise on an excellent year for BAR. Fisichella joins Fernando Alonso at Renault. Australian Mark Webber moves to Williams with Nick Heidfeld, while McLaren opt for two very different personalities. Jacques Villeneuve returns to F1 full-time with Felipe Massa at Sauber. Jaguar becomes Red Bull Racing with David Coulthard leading Christian Kleiner. Ralf Schumacher is joined by Jarno Trulli. Portuguese driver Tiago Monteiro lines up with Indian Narain Karthikeyan at Jordan, now in the hands of Midland F1. F3000 star Patrick Friesacker joins former DTM driver Christian Alberts. So, with the drivers in position, what has changed on the cars? Renault's technical director Bob Bell explains.
From the chassis side of things, starting from the front wing has been lifted in a bid to force us to reduce downforce on the car. At the rear of the car, the rear wing has been moved forward, and underneath the car at the back, the diffusers, which is the shaped underbody surface that faces the ground, has been restricted in its height, and that fundamentally limits the amount of downforce that we can generate underneath the car.
But also in two other, what you might call more sporting regulation changes, where we have now to use single engine for 2 race weekends, and also the fact that now we're having to use a single set of tyres for the race, for qualifying and race.
How will the drivers cope with the changes?
It certainly will play into the hands of the driver that can look after his tyres. Maybe not push too hard at the start of the race, so you conserve your tyres for the end of the race, and I think that will make for more interesting racing.
But if we look at the change in qualifying, where now we have 2 qualifying sessions under slightly different situation, where both qualifyings have the same importance, in other words, the 2 lap times are added together. The first qualifying is as before without fuel, and the second qualifying is as before with fuel.
I think the new format is interesting. The aggregate time, I mean, it will mix grids up more. You've got twice as much time to get it wrong. So whether it works on Sunday morning or not, we have to wait and see.
But the weather on Saturday morning caused problems for some. Michael Schumacher just managed to make the change from dry to rain tyres before leaving the pits. But the downpour came when he was out, not what's required with aggregate qualifying. Takuma Sato was next to run.
Taku, obviously you have to make your best attempt, but you have tomorrow morning as well, so don't take too many risks. That's too late, Choke, too late. I couldn't do anything.
This crash at turn 8 brought the red flag out for the first time this season. Kimi Raikkonen wanted to improve on his time from Saturday, but pushed too hard and ended up 10th overall. The drying track on Saturday helped Giancarlo Fisichella to set the first aggregate pole position.
You are on pole by 2.9 seconds. Well, I made fantastic lap. So, revs around 5,000. Giancarlo, save as much fuel as you can, as slow as you can.
It's an excellent start to the season for Renault. With Schumacher 18th and Barrichello 11th, what can the reigning champions wish for in the race?
Praying for rain.
The new aggregate qualifying system certainly did the job of mixing up the grid. David Coulthard's first outing for Red Bull lands him 5th ahead of teammate Christian Kleiner. Jacques Villeneuve is an excellent 4th, while local boy Mark Webber is 3rd behind the Toyota of Jarno Trulli. But it's Giancarlo Fisichella in the top spot on his debut for Renault. The new season is eagerly anticipated, and as ever, the Australian Grand Prix draws in fans and celebrities in their masses. Olympic swimmer Ian Thorpe mingled with singer Danny Minogue, while 80s actress Bo Derek got ready for the action. With only minutes to go, everyone waits to see which of the former teammates will make the best getaway. It's the moment everyone has been waiting for. The cars line up on the grid. Months of hard work and preparation are about to be put to the test. But already someone is in trouble. Kimi Raikkonen has stalled, so another formation lap starts without him. The delay is not welcomed by the teams, especially when Ralf Schumacher overdoes it trying to get some heat into his tyres. Raikkonen is still sat on the grid. Sam Michael might have nothing to worry about, but it's all go at McLaren. And it's not over yet.
Need to go down there with the starter motor.
The clock is ticking for Kimi as the cars are making their way round to the grid for the second time. Will the delay have caused problems for anybody else? Things look far from calm and relaxed at Ferrari. Finally, they all get away. Villeneuve struggles to hold off Coulthard, but DC has to be quick on the brakes. Now Jacques is being overwhelmed by the two Williams. With the grid clear, Raikkonen eventually gets away. Fisichella retains his advantage over Trulli and Coulthard. But it's Takuma Sato who's on the move, first disposing of the Jordan, and then Michael Schumacher. A move reminiscent of Japan 2003. Renault's interest lies further ahead though. Fernando Alonso wants 9th of Jacques Villeneuve, whilst Raikkonen caught up with Schumacher. Jacques raced at Renault at the end of 2004, but that doesn't stop Fernando. Jacques still has the fire burning. Flavio Briatore can't understand why Alonso can't extinguish his charge. Fernando's clearly pushing hard, this time surely. At last. The leader makes his first pit stop. And gets out just behind Rubens Barrichello, who's quietly been making progress from 11th on the grid. Now it's Rubens who makes his stop from P1. He's gone in a lot less than 60 seconds, to the delight of Nicolas Cage. Giancarlo Fisichella has to get a move on.
Giancarlo, you have Coulthard 10 seconds behind you, but he's quicker than you at the moment, mate. He's quicker, so you need to keep the pace up, keep the pace up.
But Coulthard will have to fend off the Williams of Mark Webber before he can challenge Fisichella. Alonso finds Trulli an easier target and is now up to 6th. Michael Schumacher has been languishing in the midfield and needs to get back in the action. Now he gets into a tangle with Nick Heidfeld, and Ferrari can't believe it. But the team have a tried and tested solution.
Get a push, get them to push you.
Michael appeals for help. While the teams get their stories together.
Michael was in the right and Nick was in the wrong. That's how I saw it. I mean, it was a racing accident, but I certainly don't think it was Michael's fault.
Definitely I had a better exit off the chicane as he was just coming out of the pits. I think I was quite a good move. I was next to him, but he just left me no space, pushed me on the grass, and on the grass the braking obviously isn't that good.
Either way, it's game over for Michael, leaving plenty of time for further reflection.
I see him in my mirrors in a certain position behind me. I indicate that I don't want him to try and pass me on the inside. He doesn't accept that, he still tries and off he goes. You can't really blame him for trying, neither blame me for not trying to let him go by the inside. It's just one of these races.
But it's not a trend Michael will want to cultivate if he is to retain his crown this season. This man wants that title, and he's just made his second pit stop. He rejoins just behind Barrichello, and both have leapfrogged DC and Webber, who's dropped back off his earlier tempo. But this man hasn't faltered at any stage. It's been a fantastic debut for Renault. Fisichello's win in Melbourne makes Flavio a very happy man.
Bravo Fisico, Dave, bravo, bravo. Well done mate, well done, absolutely perfect race, well done, brilliant. That was really good. I'm really happy. Thank you to all of you.
A tremendous team effort has paid off over the winter. And Giancarlo can't wait to celebrate his first victory with Renault.
It's a great day for me. It's been a fantastic race. The car was great. It was a very good balance. It's the best start of my career, and to win the first race of the season, it's great. I'm really happy. I like to say thank you to all the mechanics, to all the Renault team.
It's almost a perfect start for Renault in first and third. Strong results for Coulthard and Webber, while both BARs failed to finish by bizarrely heading for the pits on the final lap. His win in Brazil in 2003 was in very unusual circumstances. This time there can be no doubt that Giancarlo Fisichella is the winner. This could be the start of a very different season from those of recent years. There's a Ferrari on the podium, but it's not that of Michael Schumacher. He'll be hoping for better luck in Malaysia. Sepang plays host to round 2 of the Formula 1 World Championship. Points weren't on offer for BAR in Australia, so by failing to finish the race, the team guaranteed new engines in Malaysia without gaining a penalty.
As the regulations gave us the opportunity to start with a new engine for this race, then that's bound to be good for us. It's going to be 2 tough races, and I think having the engine being out of phase with most of the other cars should be good for us as well.
But by resorting to technicalities in the rules, it suggests their confidence has faded.
We're confident. We've got with the engine life at the moment, but clearly, given a disappointing weekend for us in Melbourne, then we took the obvious decision for us, which was to start this race with new engines on both cars.
No loopholes were required to put Anthony Davidson into the second race seat when Takuma Sato fell ill with a fever. When race day dawned, temperatures rocketed, sending both the crowds and drivers desperately in search of some shade. But the heat has already got to Ferrari. If they thought things would improve after Australia, they were wrong. Their cars line up 12th and 13th, and it's Rubens ahead of Michael again. The start approaches. And it's former teammates Jarno Trulli and Fernando Alonso who lead off the grid for the formation lap. There's 56 laps to do in one of the most grueling races on the calendar. Can Alonso keep his cool at the front? The lights go out and the cars make the most of the wide circuit. Alonso protects his line from Trulli, but Jarno needs to watch Fisichella. Ralf Schumacher tries to steal fourth from Mark Webber. The Renaults are first and third, and that's fine for Flavio. There's action further back. Jenson Button scored his first F1 podium here last year. Now he makes a move on Kimi Raikkonen. He's through. But wait, he's slowed down, and there's smoke coming from the car. He's slipping right down the order with a rapidly disintegrating engine. Jeff Willis looks concerned. And rightly so, this cannot be happening. Both VARs are giving out plumes of smoke. Button pulls off the track. It's all over for this weekend. Now he's joined on the sidelines by his teammate Anthony Davidson, and it's only lap 3. The heat is on at Honda, and Jenson wants to know why.
Engineering an engine to do 3 laps is not hard. It's the whole race, and you know, compared to last year, we've made a huge step back in every area, it looks like at the moment. But it's just not good enough because we're quick. That's the annoying thing, you know. Our pace was very good, and for the amount of fuel we had on board, it's very disappointing, but it's got to change, and I don't think it's going to change straight away. That's the only worry.
My first race with BA Honda, and not exactly what I wanted, but yeah, while it lasted, it was fun.
Well, I'm very angry, but there you go.
Kimi Raikkonen has very little to smile about either. His right rear tyre is in shreds. He'll have to make a stop for a new one. A tyre valve failure on the outlap following his first pit stop caused the problem, and now he's struggling to get back to the pits. Will the car have sustained any further damage? He makes his way back on track, but Ron Dennis wants answers. At the front, Fernando Alonso is making it look so easy. This is the gap to second-placed Jarno Trulli. But Fisichella is slipping back.
Nearly 1.5 seconds to Fernando.
Fisichella has it all to do, but it's all over for Jacques Villeneuve.
I lock front wheels all the time, and if I just try to be a little bit more aggressive and push them...
A lot better than me, because he had no tyres and he was on the dirty side.
Their body language says it all. Christian Albers has a blue flag moment, but he's not the only one being lapped. Jarno Trulli is about to put one on Rubens Barrichello. But the Ferrari is not easy to pass. Finally, he does it, to the delight of his team. Barrichello, however, doesn't get a chance to claim that lap back. A top 6 finish is lost thanks to a piece of rubber that got lodged in his rear wing, upsetting the balance of the car and damaging the rear tyres. He's not the only one with problems. Ralf Schumacher needs a new nose cone. Every part of the process is closely scrutinised. And not just by Toyota. McLaren get Montoya out ahead of Ralf when he rejoins the track after his pit stop. Back at the front, it's Fernando Alonso taking the final few turns towards his first win of the season.
Come on, guys. You are number one. You are number one, guys. Again, you are the best. You are the best. And we show everybody again.
Fantastico, bravo.
After 4 years of preparation and 3 years of racing, Toyota finally make the podium thanks to Jarno Trulli. Unbelievably, they are currently second in the Constructors' Championship.
It's just like a victory because it's the first podium for Toyota, for those guys which has been working so hard over these days, over the past years, not great results in the past, and now me and Ralf, we are showing good progress, and it's all about working and being strong.
Bernie Eccleston is a man who appreciates hard work and is keen to see it pay off. Fisichella did it in Australia, now it's Alonso's turn in Sepang. It's just what the team have been waiting for. Heidfeld gets his second podium finish of his career, having started 10th. Despite his problems, Ralf scored a points finish, while Raikkonen only managed P9 thanks to his tyre woes. It's been a long, hard race, but he did it. Fernando Alonso takes his place at the top. Former reference point Ferrari have taken a fall. Michael only managed 7th ahead of Klein and Raikkonen.
It's certain things that have to fit together. They have been fitting very well together in the past, and the others have just done a better job over winter in many areas, and we have to obviously compete on all these areas and improve.
But with another 1-2 for Renault, is it already too late?
There's always hope.
Never mind motorsport, tennis proved dangerous for Juan Pablo Montoya. A fractured shoulder prevented him taking part in Bahrain and allowed McLaren test driver Pedro de la Rosa to take his place.
There was no grip. Thursday morning, the team confirmed to me that I would be driving alongside Kimi, and what can I say? It's a big opportunity for me. Never expecting this to happen, and here I am.
Hey Gordo, don't play tennis, you're no good at it.
Rubens' advice to his friend may be a little too late, but he hopes the unveiling of the brand new F2005 is not. Poor results in the first 2 races hastens its arrival, but is it ready for action?
I've been sitting in the new car for 80 laps and Rubens the day before for 95 laps, so there was the only 2 days the race drivers tested the car, but we have done enough mileage and kilometers to be happy to use it here and sorted out all the problems which would have stopped us. There's no real reason not to use this car anymore.
I'm just really happy that we have the new car, and I have to be precise to make the setup work, because the car can be, I don't know, half a second faster, and if I make a wrong setup adjustment, that will go away so quickly. So that's my job for the weekend. Be precise on the setup and be as fast as I can whenever it matters.
I think we have the resources, we have the human manpower, we have everything in our hands to move back, and we have a strong partner with Bridgestone, although they're being criticised a little bit at the moment. Never forget we have been winning 5 years in a row together with them, and I trust in them. They will as well come back and fight hard. And I said in the beginning, 19 races. It's only 2 we have done. A long year to go.
But it was Barrichello that had a long way to be pushed following problems after qualifying, and it will be just as far from the front of the grid. The second Grand Prix in Bahrain witnesses Michael Schumacher's return to form, with P2 on the grid in the new car. But it wasn't enough to beat this man. Hot off the back of his Malaysian win, Fernando Alonso is on pole position. Third is Jarno Trulli for Toyota. He's keen to make sure everything works just fine to keep up the momentum from Malaysia. The lights go out and Michael slots in behind Fernando. But Jarno's still in the mix. Rubens Barrichello has his work cut out, starting from the back, and he hasn't made things any easier making contact with the Red Bull of Coulthard. Webber tries to use the slipstream from Jarno to take third, but the Toyota maintains position. Preserving the status quo is the last thing on Fisikella's mind. He wants 7th off Raikkonen. He looks to have done it, but Kimi's back for more. Giancarlo has to be quick on the brakes if he's to avoid the McLaren. Now he's got bigger problems. The Renault engine is losing power fast.
Switch off the engine in the pit stop area, we restart it and we go again and we try, okay?
The outlook isn't good. The team put their plan to the test. But the message is clear. Fisichella is going no further. Renault suddenly don't look so strong, and Michael Schumacher is closing on Fernando Alonso. The Ferraris both carry a poignant tribute to the late Pope this weekend. For Renault, it's a tense time. Even Giancarlo looks concerned. But they needn't have worried. The new Ferrari has been losing hydraulic pressure. Now Michael's struggling to change gears. The team knew it was a risk debuting the car early, but they had to do something to close the gap. This time, the gamble didn't pay off. Could hopes for another championship be fading after all? The race leader's future looks brighter by the second. He resumes the lead after the pit stops. De La Rosa is keen to impress and tries to make a move for 7th, but he gets it a bit wrong and loses another 2 places. Jeff Willis is keeping a close eye on both BARs, who are both suffering brake wear. Takuma Sato's under pressure from Barrichello, but a mistake from the Ferrari eases the situation for now. Michael takes it easy on the pit wall, while Nick Heidfeld is slowing on track with BMW power fading fast.
No power, no power. The engine has failed. Suggest you park the car. If you see a fire marshal, just stop near him, just in case there's any flames.
right on cue. This deep... Fisichella, Schumacher and now Nick Heidfeld is the next driver resigned to watching the race from the pit wall. And there could be another thanks to Sato's failing brakes. There may be a shortage of parking spaces at this rate. As if brake issues weren't enough, Jensen has been battling gearshift problems and now has a very feisty De La Rosa on his case.
Jensen, I know this isn't easy, but we do need to keep the brakes as cool as we can.
Pedro has nothing to lose and his persistence pays off at Button's expense. The McLaren now has the Ferrari of Rubens Barrichello in his clutches. But he pushes too hard. Mark Webber loses third with this spin. Kimi Raikkonen gets a wake-up call. Pedro's on the move again. While Alonso can't put a foot wrong for Flavio. Trulli and Webber take time out. Renault keep an eye on their rivals. While Ron Dennis goes back to basics. But the fundamentals fail Jensen when he tries to select first gear. He finally gets going, but it's only enough to get him to the end of the pit lane. And he's not impressed. One-time Ferrari test driver Felipe Massa has every intention of taking Barrichello's place. Rubens only managed 4 timed laps before starting the race and had to use Michael's setup, which doesn't complement his driving style. Contact from David Coulthard does little to enhance Villeneuve's driving. The damage ends his race and nearly wipes out Trulli, and he's a lap ahead. Webber's off-track shenanigans earlier have damaged his tyres and upset the car's balance, giving Pedro de la Rosa another opportunity. He might just be deputising for Juan Pablo, but there's nothing to lose as he moves up another position. Now that's a rare sight. But he hasn't got enough time to catch this man. Fernando Alonso has controlled the race. And Flavio seems fairly happy.
Fantastico, sei numero uno, bravo. Fernando, fantastico, bravissimo, bravo, 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 bravo.
Jarno Trulli takes second place, but the day belongs to Renault. Kimi Raikkonen put in a good performance to finish third after only qualifying 9th, while his teammate has every reason to be happy.
The car was very strong, and I must say the rear tires, the Michelin tires were very well. They worked very well in the heat, and I needed 20 more laps really because my car was in a very good condition.
So was he the day's superstar?
No, superstar is the guy that wins the race.
That'll be this man. It's his second win of the season and the 100th win for a Renault engine in F1. But his friend takes a moment to remember the late Pope John Paul II. Only 13 cars made it to the finish in Sakir. Trulli moves up to second in the championship, while Ralph and Coulthard's points push Barrichello down the order. Trulli splits the Renaults in the Drivers' Championship. Coulthard is ahead of both McLarens, but Michael has a lot of catching up to do. McLaren leap up to third. Red Bull are ahead of Ferrari, but something else is needed to lift Jordan, VAR and Minardi out of the doldrums. It's one team's first visit to San Marino. But what 3 words sum up Red Bull?
3 words for Red Bull. Awesome. Energy. Fun.
This season they have shown genuine track potential, and with 12 points they have already exceeded the total scored by Jaguar in 2004 and have managed to bring a welcome sense of fun into the paddock.
We're totally focused on the job in hand. We want to be competitive. We don't want to just take part, but you know, we want to have some fun along the way, and there's a youthful image to the team, and you know, it's very much sort of work hard, play hard.
In a sport that pushes itself to the limit, Red Bull fits in perfectly, and now they have the ultimate in paddock comfort and style in the form of their new motorhome, the Energy Station. Does it have the desired effect?
Oh, I can feel the energy. You know, it's a very impressive structure. Obviously, it's here to enhance the way the team functions during the Grand Prix and how it interacts with their guests and the media. So far, I think it's been quite a positive response from the paddock, because it's certainly the biggest structure that we have here.
Italian Vitantonio Liuzzi steps up from Friday testing for this weekend.
It's a dream I'm living at the moment, because when I was funny, because when I stepped into the paddock, I started seeing, you know, the Ferrari, the other motorhome was really similar to last year. And then I saw this huge building and I started laughing myself, because it was amazing. They did something incredible. I think you can see from the back that is unbelievable what they built it. And you can see in my face how happy am I about everything, because this will be my first race in a nice atmosphere and in something incredible here.
Although the rule on Friday testers has been changed to accommodate Christian Klien, no driver is happy to sit on the sidelines.
For sure, it's a bit disappointing, but we knew it in the beginning of the year that me and Tony will share the cockpit for this year. It was just that my first 3 races were really, really good, and I thought I can continue racing for Red Bull. But that's the decision now, and I'm doing the third car on a Friday, so I try to do a good job there and help the team as good as I can.
How successful has the new approach been in producing race results?
You know, Melbourne, we showed, you know, strong form in the race, and we were a little lucky in qualifying, but the pace in the race was genuine, but with both cars. We backed that up in Malaysia with a double points finish again. Bahrain, Christian qualified very well, was unfortunate not to take the start. David raced well to take a point, so we've scored points in every race.
DC spent 9 years at McLaren in a very different environment. How's he fitting in at Red Bull?
They have a bigger facility in their factory back at base, and they have an engine manufacturer who also owns part of the team. So the structure is a little bit different in terms of operating a Grand Prix team and functioning professionally. There isn't such a big difference.
Our expectations are high. We've already exceeded the point score of the previous team Jaguar from last year, and you know, we're looking ahead.
Michael Schumacher needs to keep his eye on the ball. This mistake in qualifying leaves him in the unlucky position of being 13th for Ferrari's home Grand Prix. McLaren test driver Alex Wirtz deputises for Montoya this weekend and lines up 7th. Pole position belongs to teammate Kimi Räikkönen.
You'd have to say that he's probably right. So super aggressive all weekend. Kimi Räikkönen, he could snatch the pole off Michael Schumacher, because he drives this racetrack on maximum attack, just like his fellow countryman Mika Häkkinen used to do. Wonderful to watch around here, Kimi Räikkönen. Already 5/100ths up on Michael Schumacher. He's taking it to the German.
Yeah, it's a fraction up. We thought Michael Schumacher's time was beatable. I think there are 2 runners left who could and should beat it. One of them you're watching now. You're looking through the boss of his steering wheel at him working away. You don't get too much of a feel from this shot, funnily enough, really, of just the energy and speed that's going on there through Acqua Minerale. Let's see how this McLaren handles the curbs at the top of the Variante Alta. Beautiful, just a little bit of oversteer as he skipped across the top, and he's 1/4 of a second up with 2 Ribazzas and the final chicane only to go. He braked into there nicely, Now, oh, perfect exit, James.
Absolutely. He's qualified 10th, 6th and 9th in the first 3 Grand Prix. Qualifying has been the Achilles heel of McLaren Mercedes. They've got a very quick race car. It looks like they've sorted their problems. They've got a quick qualifying car as well. Out of the final corner he goes. Over 0.3 of a second faster than Michael Schumacher. A superb lap by Kimi Räikkönen.
Ron desperately trying to stop that big smile coming on his face there, because that's what they needed to do. They have unquestionably got the best car in the final quarter of a Grand Prix when it comes down to tyre wear. But if they can only start at the front and get a solid first part of the Grand Prix.
Alonso is gunning for his 3rd consecutive win from 2nd, and Jensen gets back on track to line up 3rd. The start of the European season approaches. Can Jensen do anything about this view ahead? He is pulling away from Fernando. McLaren wants payback for the disappointment of Bahrain. Michael Schumacher started unlucky 13th after a bad qualifying session. Now he's picking his way through the field. A small error is all the welcome he needs. Up front, Räikkönen leads Alonso, Button, Trulli, Webber, Sato and Wirtz. Fisichella started 2005 so well with the win in Melbourne, but nothing has gone. That's 3 non-finishes for Fisichella.
I don't know what happened at the moment, but soon we'll know, I think. And it's really frustrating because I didn't score points in the last 3 races. I have a very good package, and it's not good. So I'm just looking forward for the next one.
Räikkönen is relishing his lead over Alonso, and it's increasing. But the triumph is short-lived. The race is bad enough, but when the win looked likely, it is even more exasperating.
We've had some long-range component failure on the drive shafts in testing, but this was a new component and was well within its lifespan, so it's frustrating.
Felipe Massa is hot on the heels of David Coulthard in the battle for 13th. But with brake fade, that move was never going to work. The BAR garage is glued to the monitors. Their feisty driver Takuma Sato's giving Mark Webber some serious hassle. A heavy fuel load has enabled Michael to blitz the rest of the runners, and he's up to 3rd. Always a popular move in front of the Tifosi. Jacques Villeneuve is on the attack, and Webber is the victim once again. The season really hasn't been kind to Williams. Brake fade or brain fade. That's the second run in between these two this afternoon, and Felipe's not happy. The race leader pits, but if he thought with Räikkönen out of the way he could relax to the finish, then he was very, very wrong. Never discount the Ferrari of Michael Schumacher. He's been set. Wirtz's 4th place is some consolation for McLaren. Sato and Villeneuve score for the first time this season, and a double points finish helps Toyota stay 2nd in the Constructors. It may have been some time, but at least Michael and Jensen haven't forgotten what to do on the podium. So what finally got Michael and Jensen back on form?
A tremendous effort and work from everybody within the team. Test team, engineers, test drivers, Luca Balovea, Marc Genet,
everybody was just flat out working and on the limiter, and it paid out.
It's the same sort of situation Michael's been in. You know, we've all worked so hard since the last race to turn things around, and we have. You know, we're not yet on the same pace as the Ferrari, but you know, they've done a fantastic job.
The Spanish Grand Prix is next on the calendar, but events from Imola had to be cleared up first. When Jenson Button's car was drained of fuel after the race, it was found to be 5.4 kilograms below the weight limit. The FIA argued that the stewards were wrong to accept the team's claim that the car and driver weighed more than 600 kilograms at all times during the race. Even if they did weigh the correct amount at all times, they believed this was because fuel was being used as ballast, which is not allowed. Button's third place was under threat when the FIA launched an appeal against the decision taken by the FIA-appointed stewards after the race.
I would like to declare the hearing concerning car number 3, Lucky Strike Bar Honda, formally open from this moment.
We have a culture, strong culture of safety and responsibility and integrity, and at no time would I willingly allow the team to do anything, to my knowledge, that was illegal, and I have made this clear on many times internally in technical meetings in the team.
The decision will be ready for both parties tomorrow. Thank you very much. I declare the hearing closed.
The hearing was over, but it marked the start of a long wait for the team. Preparations for the weekend continued as normal, but the tension was clearly visible. There was nothing to do but wait for the FIA's decision. And the world's media was ready when it arrived.
And the world is just about to learn about the result of the appeal. If we just take a look at
the team received a 2-race ban and lost the points they had in Imola because the car was effectively declared illegal. The FIA won its appeal against its own stewards.
We pumped the fuel out and were told that's it, there's no more fuel. We then had a better look and found another 15 litres in the car. And when that was pumped out, the car was underweight. Well, that was open and shut, 594.6 kilos without the fuel, and that is an illegal car, there's no escape.
Tyrrell got thrown out in '96 because we lost all of the water out of the Yamaha engine and we were a kilo below the weight limit, and it was illegal. And that's that.
BAR Honda Chief Executive Nick Fry sought to clear the team's reputation.
I don't think there's any issue with the collector tank in the BAR, what they've done with it. It's the fact they're using fuel as ballast, and it's clear that you're not allowed to do.
After extensive legal advice, the team decided there was nothing they could do to race this weekend. In the interest of the sport, they chose to limit disruption, pack up and make their return at the Nürburgring.
Morning. How are you?
Montoya makes his comeback this weekend after recovering from his shoulder injury. He was out-qualified by Kimi Räikkönen and Mark Webber, but at least he's not at the back like Barrichello and Heidfeld. Can the Williams get a good start and keep the Spaniard at bay? It's a nail-biting time for the teams.
Strange position when the lights go off. We'll be racing 66 laps at Barcelona. Begin now. Great start for Räikkönen, and Alonso has passed Webber. He's got him on the run down to turn 1. one. Someone's gone on the grass. There's a lot of action there. One of the Toyotas, I believe, was involved in that. Look at Fisichella coming down the inside. Webber has been bumped down into third place by one of the two Renaults. Raikkonen leads then. Alonso up into second. We've got a Minardi stalled on the start line, and Webber, as we feared, has dropped down into fourth place off the start line.
And that's bad news where that Minardi is stalled. It's on the exit of the fast corner, albeit on the inside of the racetrack. 3 or 4 cars at the back of the grid didn't get away properly, and one, of course, then didn't get away at all. And understandably, they have deployed the safety car, the double-waved yellows. In fact, there were at least 2 cars then that didn't get away, and the clutch mechanism that the marshals should have easily to hand to push is not functioning on one of the Minardis.
It's both. So Raikkonen bunches them up. It's up to him when he drops the gas to get this race started again. The safety car will have pulled out in front and come into the pit lane coming off turn 13. They're trying to get these 2 Minardis going again, trying to get them into the race. But we should concentrate on the restart because it's imminent. The safety car, I can see, is coming down into the pit lane now. Raikkonen starts to pick up the pace out of 12 and up the hill down towards 13. The 2 Minardis trying to get themselves going as Kimi Raikkonen exits the final turn, and he's built himself a pretty healthy lead already with a very cunning restart. Alonso caught napping a little bit there, and Raikkonen leads.
Absolutely, Alonso was not ready at all for that. Kimi Raikkonen had 10 car lengths on him, 2 corners from the end of the lap. As soon as the safety car pulls off, and look, we've got a pass going on at the back. Montoya and Michael Schumacher, and Montoya makes his way up to P7. He got a run out of the final corner on the Ferrari of Schumacher. Coulthard now homing in on Michael Schumacher.
I said that was going to be absolutely vital for Montoya to get Schumacher back off the restart. We've seen before the Bridgestone tyres, when they cool down a little bit behind the safety car, they don't have that bite on the restart that the Michelins have, and once again Montoya has used that to tremendous advantage. We're going to keep an eye on that scrap because it's the battle for 7th.
Yeah, Raikkonen is flying at the front though, absolutely flying. He's got confidence, speed. We've seen, I just don't know how McLaren haven't won more races this year in terms of they've got the speed. They've just been tripping over each other a bit, unreliability, but is that car good? And we know that it's the best car out there for looking after its tyres through a Grand Prix too. Ted has some news.
Yeah, down at Minardi, it was a programming problem in the software of the master control unit for both cars.
Thank you for that, Ted. Well, the track temperature here now 44 degrees, the air temperature 24. It's hot at Barcelona, and certainly at the moment the Michelin seem to be enjoying that. Kimi Raikkonen's pace is similar to the pace at in the early stages of last year's Grand Prix, and if you bear in mind all the changes that they've made this year, 1 set of tyres for qualifying and the race, 2 race engines, lots of aerodynamics taken off the cars, as much as 20% in the initial phases. It's absolutely staggering that these cars are going faster now as Raikkonen bangs in a 17.6. They're going faster now than they were at this stage of the race last year.
Yeah, that's stunning pace. The track's in good nick, isn't it? And, that's Michael Schumacher, David Coulthard, Felipe Massa, 8, 9 and 10. Massa's 12 seconds off the lead, and they're on lap 5. All of those safety car laps count towards the Grand Prix distance. There'll be some feverish recalculations going on because the cars use less than half as much fuel on a safety car lap as they do when they're on a hot lap. I think he's got a good amount of fuel on, as I'm sure has Raikkonen and Alonso. Raikkonen has done a new circuit lap record on lap 6 of a 1:17.196. Stunning pace at the front of the field.
He's on for an even better one here. He might crack into the 16s on this lap. It's all purple sectors on the computer here for Kimi Raikkonen. He is driving the race of his life, pulling away, trying to open out a gap in the way that Alonso has done. 1:9.62 for Kimi Raikkonen. Alonso tries desperately to respond. He's bringing his lap times down by the same kind of increments, but they started higher. 1:17.5 for Alonso, and he can't respond. Here's your race leader, Kimi Raikkonen, lap 11 of 66, and once again he is on his way to a new fastest lap. This is going to be something in the mid 1:16s, which I tell you is a second faster than the similar pace than the pace we had at this stage of the Grand Prix last year. That's extraordinary that the cars have been made slower, and yet here we are 5 races in, and this race is the race time is going to be much faster than last year's.
A 16.5. At 1:16.5. Alonso comes over in a 1:17.6. The gap up to 7.7 seconds. Raikkonen is flying. If he pits at any time near Alonso or the other key runners, he's got this race comfortably in the bag. And that's stunning. pushing the car so hard. He's already faster yet again in the first sector on this current lap, which is lap 12.
But at the front, Kimi Raikkonen is once again on target to set a new fastest lap. He's already deep into the 1:16s and pulling away from Alonso. The pace of this McLaren is absolutely mesmerising at this stage of the Grand Prix.
Well, later on, that's up at turn 4. Turn 3, I think, actually. Somebody's gone off the road quite heavily, probably made it, and that's Friesacke in the Minardi. So that's pretty much completing a dismal afternoon for them. And that time around, Raikkonen increases lead by 2 seconds. Wonder where Alonso lost that time and why. He's really been going quite slowly this last 2 or 3 laps, Alonso. So I wonder if there's a little gremlin creeping in there somewhere. Ralf Schumacher now down to just 2.2 seconds behind him in 3rd place. Raikkonen has just done it again, another new lap record, a 1:16.1. Alonso's response, a 1:18.0. The gap now 15.4 seconds. Alonso's very inconsistent. We haven't seen him off the road or locking wheels. In fact, we've seen plenty of him, but each time it's been in a slow-mo, and he appears to be on the right bits of the racetrack. But Alonso dramatically falling behind and into the clutches of Ralf Schumacher in 3rd place.
It's not as if he's sort of pacing himself, is it? As you say, the lap time's sometimes good, sometimes not so good. If he was thinking, well, I settle for 2nd here and just keep Ralf behind me, it's a bit early in the race to be saying that. One interesting thing, though, Martin, is the pace of Montoya. He is now in clear air. He's got Michael Schumacher behind him, and in clear air, as Raikkonen is, he's lapping almost, 1.5, 2 seconds a lap slower than his teammate.
Let's give Raikkonen another 5 laps. He's got a pit stop in his pocket anyway, a spare pit stop in terms of time. And he's still pumping in faster sectors, so he just doesn't want to give up. Obviously, it's easy for him. He's not locking wheels and sliding all over the place, making mistakes. He's not on the ragged edge. Clearly, he is absolutely feeling good about that car. And this racetrack, because corners very much lead one to another, if the car's underneath you, you just build up. It compounds like a snowball all around the lap, and that's such a disparity in lap times. If your car's not working, you just can't manhandle it through these 150-mile-an-hour corners. Well, if you look at Alonso's lap times in clear air, he is about 10th fastest man on the racetrack at the moment. That's how much slower he's going. Raikkonen leads by 20 seconds, having just set another new lap record of 1:16.0. He's gone. He's in a league of his own whenever he stops for fuel. But it's Alonso now, and Ralf Schumacher smelling a bit of a solid result here, isn't he, in that 3rd place Toyota?
Yep, Toyota have had a couple of podiums this year with Jarno Trulli already, but Ralf has yet to take that step. So that would be a special moment for him. And Montoya slightly faster on that lap as well. Raikkonen still a good 2nd a lap for her in the same car. Fisichella, interestingly, in the 2nd Renault in 5th place, is lapping 6 or 7 tenths of a second faster, almost a second faster, in fact, on that last lap than Alonso. So very interesting teammate comparisons here.
Alonso's struggling, and he's reversing Ralf Schumacher back into his teammate Jarno Trulli. Trulli won't get too much further, I would imagine, as soon as he gets into turbulent air that's cascading off the back of that red and white Toyota. But Alonso will be backing. Who else will join them? Fisichella could join that squabble soon too, with, as you say, lapping best part of a second a lap faster than Alonso. Montoya repairing some of the damage from his quick spin. He only lost 4 seconds, actually, Montoya, in that spin. And but he's 10 seconds behind Fisichella. He's nothing like the pace of his teammate.
Yeah, Fisichella, in about 3 laps, will join the tail of this, but I wonder whether we might not have a few pit stops before that, because this is lap 24. And although they saved a little bit of fuel behind the safety car at the beginning of the Grand Prix, we must be getting quite close now, I would have thought, to the first round of fuel stops for these front runners. Raikkonen leads then, Alonso 2nd, 24 seconds behind him. Ralf Schumacher, you can see there, is just 7 tenths behind. Trulli 7 tenths behind Ralf Schumacher. 3 seconds behind them is Fisichella, with Montoya a further 10 seconds back. And then Michael Schumacher is 3 seconds behind Montoya in 7th place. Coulthard 8th and on for a point at the moment in the Red Bull Racing. 9th Massa, and 10th is Webber, but he has made a pit stop. Well, Ralf Schumacher feeds in behind Massa as the race leader, Kimi Raikkonen, comes into the pits in the McLaren Mercedes. What a brilliant opening stint for him. 26.5 seconds of margin he's opened up, and that should just about get him back out in front of Alonso. This will be interesting. Alonso, of course, still having to make his stop, as does Trulli. No tyre pressure adjustments here. Remember how that tyre deflated for him earlier in the season when they played around with the pressures?
Oh, blue smoke coming out of the back of that. It's been on idle, so sometimes you do get a bit of build-up of crankcase pressure or whatever. But Kimi definitely with a little bit of blue engine smoke as Jarno Trulli also pits from 4th place. And that'll be a little bit alarming for people whenever an engine is burning oil like that. It's concerning, but it was on tick over in the pits. Tick over on these, sorry James, tick over on these about 5,000 revs.
We've got a little bit of a flame there out the back of the Toyota. I hope that's just a bit of over rev. Looked to me like Raikkonen did rejoin in front of Alonso from the very wide camera shot we had there. So that has actually come out then.
A sideways moment at Mirabeau for Albers creates quite a traffic jam. The roadblock brings out the safety car. While Coulthard is left to explain what force took him out.
On the pit stop a moment ago, what kind of margin has Raikkonen already got over Trulli? 5.6 seconds in one lap alone, so he's certainly well on his way to buying himself that cushion that he needs.
And look at Alonso under pressure, so whether he's made a mistake or just struggling with a fresh fuel load and the same tyres to just get some grip, but Alonso, instead of being all over the back of Trulli, he's under pressure himself. Don't know what went on there. Maybe we'll see a replay of a mistake, or he's just struggling to find grip.
One of the things that's interesting is we've seen all season that the Bridgestone tyres don't like sitting behind a safety car. They don't come up to speed very quickly when they're released. But Michael Schumacher was the second fastest man on that lap after Kimi Raikkonen, and all the other Michelin front runners were slower than him on the first lap. So the Bridgestone coming up to temperature very quickly and very nicely there on Schumacher's previously damaged Ferrari.
He obviously had a little bit of free air because he's up behind Raikkonen. I think a lot of the other people in traffic, if you look at Webber here.
Alonso's definitely struggling though, isn't he, for pace at the moment. Of course, he has fueled up. Alonso, well, mind you, so is Webber, who's chasing him down, and Heidfeld. They're similarly fueled. So Alonso just hasn't got the pace. Then struggling through turn 1 as well there. And the lead over Alonso that Raikkonen had is 9.4 seconds after 2 laps of the restart.
Yep, the safety car has really helped Raikkonen in his battle with Alonso. It's certainly not helped Fisichella. He's dropped down to 8th place. We've seen David Coulthard eliminated once again through no fault of his own. He's talking now with Louise Goodman. Approaching half distance in the Monaco Grand Prix. It's lap 35. Kimi Raikkonen's just set the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:16.222. And for the second lap in succession, his main rival here this afternoon, Fernando Alonso, has done a lap in the 1:19s. I wonder whether Alonso has more trouble than we were just suspecting. It may have just been a little bit of a balance issue, but now the pace really dropping off. Raikkonen again, 1:16.046. This could be the decisive pace of the race. We've had a safety car intervention after Minardi spun at Mirabeau. Michael Schumacher had his front wing knocked off. That's put him a lap down, and he is in 13th place. David Coulthard was eliminated from the race in that incident as well. He was running in a strong 7th place at the time. A lot of the two-stopping drivers pitted at that point. Alonso, Webber, Heidfeld, Massa and Fisichella. Fisichella, the big loser, he had to queue up behind his teammate Alonso. He dropped from 4th down to 8th place at that point. Battle going on still between Barrichello in 10th place that is bound to get some resolution soon, because Montoya is bound to get a little bit impatient, and Raikkonen once again is stretching his advantage. Well, we're joined in the commentary box. We're delighted to be joined up here by Jenson Button, and Jenson, Raikkonen's really, this is a key moment in the race for him now, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's just under 3 seconds quicker than Alonso at the moment. I mean, that's just staggering. That's not all fuel. You know, Kimi's doing a great job out there at the moment.
Yeah, I think the Renault boys will be scratching their heads because they took a gamble on coming in with the safety car, and it could have paid off for them. But his pace subsequent to that has just been appalling and just left him nowhere. I mean, give it another 3 laps, and Raikkonen will have a spare pit stop in his pocket, whatever his strategy is. this afternoon. Ted has further news.
Well, Martin, I'm down here at McLaren, and they're a bit worried because they don't think either Renault has to stop again in this race. They think they were very long stops. They were timing them under the safety car. They were very long stops for both of them. They believe both Alonso and Fisichella, certainly Fisichella, is fueled to the end of the race. So that's why Kimi has to push so hard now. He needs that 23, 24 seconds in his pocket to stay ahead of Alonso.
Yes, he needs the track position, but they can also swerve his strategy as well. But yeah, so that's key. How far can he get before he has to come in? That's why he's pushing so incredibly hard. And Alonso has to respond. He's got clear air in front of him. He's got 7.5 seconds now. He's behind Trulli, who hasn't stopped yet. Trulli's the one struggling here, really, in terms of he's not fast enough on his low fuel. But Alonso has to find some speed to bring himself back into contention.
Well, I'd be surprised if the Renaults can go through to the finish. They pitted on lap 25. That was when the incident happened up at the Mirabeau. And even with a few laps behind the safety car, I think it's asking some to get through to lap 78. They need to have a fuel tank well over 100 kilos.
He may be very, very heavy, although Alonso now down into the low 1 minute 18, still losing 2 seconds to Raikkonen. He's now 27 seconds behind. Raikkonen's going to have the cushion he needs in the next lap or two. Included in that, Raikkonen on lap 39. He had a 28-second lead over Alonso last time he crossed the start-finish line. So it's working beautifully for him now.
It really is. Approaching half distance then in this Grand Prix. And that McLaren is absolutely beautiful. It's fantastically supple, this car, isn't it? When you watch it, particularly through the swimming pool complex. I was down there watching Saturday morning practice. It just floats those curves much nicer than all of the other cars. It's a wonderful, wonderful car that they've come up with this year, McLaren. They were unlucky at the start, as Monty.
Think that Raikkonen has just beaten Michael Schumacher's 15.9, only by a fraction. Schumacher responds from 13th place with a 1:15.8. It's a pity they're not at the front fighting each other, isn't it? But a stunning speed from Michael. But talking of that, what did you think about him running into the back of Coulthard? It looked a little bit surprising, didn't it, that he didn't see that one coming up?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is in that corner, you've got a wheel which is off the ground, the inside front. It's off the ground towards the end of braking, a little bit of understeer. It's very difficult to get on the brakes a little bit harder and stop yourself running into the back of someone because you're running so tight.
Yeah, David explained he could actually physically see the guy spinning, and obviously Michael was unsighted behind his rear wing. But Alonso's lead, a deficit now to Raikkonen, 35 seconds. It's in the bag for Raikkonen. If he can clearly stop just once and get to the end of the Grand Prix. So looking very handy, providing he's got reliability.
Yeah, Alonso lapping 2.3 seconds, a lap slower than Raikkonen, but of course Raikkonen is due a fuel stop. McLaren mechanics are out in the pit lane, ready for their man, so I think the race leader might be coming in any time. There's Ralf Schumacher. He has just made his first stop, probably the only stop of the afternoon. There is the race leader then, Kimi Raikkonen into the pits, 34-second lead, Ted Kravitz.
His tyres look in great condition. They're just clearing some of the rubbish out of the radiators. He's happy with the balance. They're not making any change to the fuel pressures. And there we go. That's a good stop by McLaren for Raikkonen.
He'll be easily in the lead, maintain his lead, because Alonso's pace has just disappeared somewhere. He's had no chance since he stopped after that safety car thing.
Michael's pit stop leaves him stuck behind the Red Bull of Liuzzi. But it will take a stronger power than that to hold Michael back. Allying with the dark side has not been successful. Now Liuzzi crashes into the barrier. Montoya was deemed responsible for the crash on Friday and started 16th. It was just the incentive he needs to stage a fight back to 7th. But there's 2 cars off in the background. Montoya is really on the attack. Jarno makes the most of Fisichella's mistake into Mirabeau to take 5th at the hairpin. But the Renault's got rear tyre problems and he's struggling to keep it on track. Jarno hit the curbs heavily and is having trouble with the handling. Juan Pablo doesn't need asking twice. Neither does teammate Ralf Schumacher, or Rubens Barrichello, or Michael Schumacher. The last pit stop saw Nick Heidfeld get ahead of his teammate Webber, and now they are both hounding the Renault of Alonso. It's a brilliant move from Heidfeld for second. There's nothing Renault can do. Now Webber's going for it. It was a valiant effort, but with 10 laps remaining, Webber is up to third. There's quite a queue behind Fernando. Now there's some inter-team action at Ferrari. Michael steals 7th off Rubens. But they're miles off this man. Kimi Raikkonen takes his 2nd consecutive win. Alonso just about keeps it on track to stay 4th, but Michael doesn't want to stay put. He wins himself no fans trying to sneak past his brother for 6th. This man has plenty of fans. He's got diamonds in his helmet, and he's the winner at F1's Jewel in the Crown. While Nick Heidfeld is the star of the day for Williams.
I'm very happy, I think so. In the end, this is the same race. You get 10 points from this race, but it's a special place, and everybody looks you maybe a slightly different way when you win in Monaco. And it's for sure we will have a good party today.
It's Nick Heidfeld's best ever Formula 1 finish and Webber's first time on the podium. Ralph did well to finish 6th, and Albers made it to the finish despite his risky encounter early on. Raikkonen edges closer to Alonso, while the two Williams are ahead of some pretty big names. Toyota remain consistent despite the strength of Renault and McLaren, while Ferrari can only manage 5th. It looks like the McLaren party has started already, but it's Paris Hilton who's at the centre of attention. F1 moves straight to the Nürburgring in Germany for the European Grand Prix. Drivers should be glad they don't get paid by the hour, now that aggregate qualifying is no more. Instead, there'll be one session of single-lap qualifying on race fuel levels. The running order is still determined by the results of the previous race. The change works well for Williams, with their drivers 1st and 2nd. Until Kimi Raikkonen came out. but he couldn't beat them both.
It is special. It's definitely fantastic having my first pole position in Formula 1, but to see on my home Grand Prix at Nürburgring is even more outstanding. But to be honest, I think I didn't yet realize, because I didn't expect to be there. I thought probably we could go on the second row.
BAR returned to the grid after their 2-race suspension, but Jenson Button could only manage 13th and his teammate 16th. Toyota have got problems firing up Trulli's engine, and the mechanics are still on the grid with 15 seconds to go. The engine noises are rising and the formation lap gets underway. Everyone rushes to their positions for the start. The championship leader has a heavy fuel load, but he still needs to push from 6th. The McLarens are flying. Raikkonen snatches the lead from Heidfeld. Alonso makes a move on Webber, but Mark keeps him at bay and gets in a tangle with Montoya, causing carnage. As Kimi walks away from the wreckage, Fernando Alonso wins his 4th race of the year, thanks to strategy and a whole lot of luck. The hard work paid off for 3 stopping Heidfeld and Barrichello. Coulthard narrowly missed out on a podium thanks to a penalty, and Trulli did well to fight back after his grid infringement. It's all smiles for Renault, but what about McLaren?
Neither us nor the team have any regrets of going for it, because a 3rd place or a 4th place, if we had pitted, A, wouldn't have been automatic, because I think there would have been dispute whether the tyre was safe or unsafe, but more importantly, the points differential would have been relatively small, and we're here to try and win the World Championship.
But championships can easily be lost in this way. While McLaren take every risk possible, it looks increasingly like this man could beat them to it. A short break from Europe brings F1 to Canada, a country synonymous with the name Villeneuve. With racing in his blood, Jack was always going to make headlines. The 1995 IndyCar Championship winner became one of only 4 drivers to take pole position on their F1 debut. 1997 saw him take 10 pole positions and 7 race wins en route to the championship. And of course there was that infamous showdown with Michael Schumacher in Jerez. He's now back full-time. So how has the sport changed over the years?
Some characters have gone from the paddock, which is always sad. But it looks like it's become a little bit more human in the last 2 or 3 years. Much more relaxed, and people talk more openly, so that's a nice side. And this year the racing seems to be better, so that's great.
But after achieving so much so young, what pushes him these days?
Well, the aims are to get back there, of course, but you also have to be realistic and know what is possible, and right now we're not in a position to fight at the front.
Montreal has not been kind to Jacques with only 3 finishes in 9 years. Is there greater pressure as it's his home race?
There's always a lot of pressure, of course, because this is my home race. But right now we don't have a competitive car, so there's very little we can do, and we know it from before the weekend, so the pressure is very low.
After 8 non-finishes, Jacques made his shock departure from BAR in 2003, before the last race in Japan. 2004 looked pretty bleak. But Renault threw him a lifeline, taking Jarno Trulli's seat for the last 3 races.
Oh, it was great. You know, it's much better to drive the race cars and race than to watch it on TV.
Sauber signed him up on a 2-year contract from 2005, and in Imola the hard work paid off as he scored his first points for the team.
It felt great because it was a fun race. It was a strong race from us. The qualifying was okay, and then the race was really strong, so it was a great feeling.
But what about this weekend? Could anything make life easier?
It would be nice to have a little bit of rain for once, because when you're running at the back of the grid, then rain cannot make it worse for you. It can only make it better.
The rain did not arrive for qualifying, but P8 wasn't a bad effort considering only the top runners lie ahead of him. What would Sunday bring? Race day brought the usual hustle and bustle of famous faces to the grid. Jenson Button's qualifying time puts him just ahead of Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso. Rubens Barrichello starts from the pit lane following a gearbox problem on Saturday. This could be Jenson's best chance to win his first Grand Prix. His start isn't good and definitely not enough to beat the Renaults. Now it's Fisichella in the lead. Schumacher is having a torrid time, slipping right back behind the McLarens. Nick Fry can only watch as Takuma Sato goes into combat with Jarno Trulli and loses. Meanwhile, Renault are monitoring the timing pages.
Giancarlo, we need more, please. We need you to push a bit more. Fernando is quicker behind you, but come on, push, mate, push, push. I am much quicker. Okay, Fernando, we've told Fizzy you're faster. Maintain position at the moment, mate.
And that's exactly what he does. For the moment. Fisichella still clings to his lead from Alonso, but closing in on them, it's the McLarens of Montoya and Raikkonen. Back markers are playing their part. Sato's race ends in the pit lane thanks to a lack of gearbox oil pressure. While Fisichella makes a good stop from the lead. He's joined in the pit lane by third-placed Montoya. Juan Pablo gets the green light to go and charges after the Renault. Is it enough to get him ahead of Alonso and into second place? Well, it might have been. The top three remain the same after the first round of pit stops, but the McLarens are spoiling for a fight. The Renaults can't afford to back off now. But Fisichella is beginning to get in the way.
Now I arrive to him. What more I have to do? We understand. We know you're quicker. Overtake him.
It's an easy manoeuvre, maybe too easy.
Hydraulic pressure, just be careful of your gear shifting. Mate, it doesn't work. I know, we've lost hydraulics. Come in, mate, come in. Very, very sorry, mate.
The problem is terminal. The team cannot believe his luck. While Giancarlo can't believe another victory is lost. He is furious. Alonso leads Montoya. But gets it so wrong. He's hit the wall. Surely that's damaged the car. It's certainly handed Montoya the lead. And Briatore can't bear to look. The team prepare for Fernando, but will a new tyre be enough, or has he done more harm? It's no good. His suspension is broken. Game over. So the ball is back in McLaren's court now. Montoya leads his teammate Raikkonen. And it certainly looks better for Michael Schumacher after his terrible start. With the Renaults out of the way, he's fourth, pursuing Jenson Button. The podium may be in reach after all. But it's out of the question for Jenson when he smacks into the wall of champions. The safety car comes out while the BAR is retrieved, but the race leader has already passed pit entry. and he vents his frustration at the team. He'll have to do a complete lap before stopping. Raikkonen does have the chance to make a stop. This could be the deciding factor in the race. Now Montoya comes in, while Button's car is cleared from the track. Juan Pablo's very keen to make up some ground, but he'll have to wait for the pack to pass. A red light does mean stop, but he's not interested. He's straight on the gas. And even tries a bit of force. That's just not allowed. He gets the black flag and is disqualified from the race. The crowd loses the chance to see a trademark storm through the field by Montoya, while the team failed to capitalise on Renault's bad day. Montoya had better collect his thoughts. It looks like Ron wants a word. So, after 3 race leaders, Raikkonen takes his turn at the front, and Michael Schumacher is closing. Brake failure leaves third place Jarno Trulli walking home with only 8 laps remaining. Michael's closed the gap, but it's not enough to deprive Kimi Raikkonen of the win in Montreal. He kept his cool and watched as his challengers fell by the wayside, ensuring McLaren take a step closer to Renault in the Constructors' Championship. But Felipe Massa isn't quite done yet. He holds off Mark Webber for a well-deserved 4th. And he's delighted. But no more than this man. Kimi Raikkonen avoided the leader's jinx to celebrate his 3rd win of the season. There was a high rate of attrition in Montreal. Rubens produced a storming drive to 3rd after starting in the pit lane. Ralph finished 6th ahead of the 2 Red Bull cars and local favourite Jacques Villeneuve. And Montoya's misdemeanour?
Really have to leave the driver to determine whether it's red or not, and he missed it. Joined really the pack very slowly, and you could have, the safety car was going slowly, the car was going to say, you've got to look at, as far as I'm concerned, you know, was that in any shape or form dangerous? I don't think it was, and therefore the penalty of excluding him from the race is just incredibly severe.
Severe or not, Kimi looks happy enough. Formula One stays in North America and moves to its motorsporting home, Indianapolis. The weekend got off to a shaky. The drivers are always geared up for racing. And Formula One needs to win over the massive US market. .12:56, and it looks like the decision has been made. Now it's time for the racing to begin. Toyota's first pole position comes courtesy of Trulli. With Raikkonen next to him, there could be quite an interesting outcome. The cars make their way round the formation lap and try to warm their tyres and brakes for the start. But no, Schumacher continues round, but Alonso's taken to the pit lane. All the Michelin runners are going back to their garages. Two Ferraris, 2 Jordans and 2 Minardis. Barrichello makes a move on his teammate, while Albers is up to 4th behind Montero. Meanwhile, the Michelin runners just stand back and watch. It's a disappointing conclusion.
Regrettably, the Michelin teams could not participate in the race. We've got to look at the safety of our drivers. I believe that the Michelin teams offered a whole variety of compromises, including handicapping themselves to help this race take place, providing there was a chicane in place.
Montero pits. The Jordan mechanics don't miss a stroke, and he's looking good for a podium finish. It should be a good haul of points for Minardi as well. Christian Albers is 5th, ahead of his teammate Patrick Friesacker. Michael is leading the race, but Ross Brawn still keeps a watchful eye on proceedings. Everything looks okay. But he's got a battle on his hands. Barrichello has already stopped. And it's Rubens who has to take evasive action. Tomorrow's headlines will be bad enough without the Ferraris taking each other out. Now there's debris on the track, and it hasn't come from the cars.
Despite all of the Michelin's efforts to find a solution with the Speedway, with the FIA and the Bridgestone runners, the selfishness of some has been the cost of the majority, and you know, that's why the fans are showing their disgust by throwing stuff on the track, and I'm very sorry for them.
Others mark their anger by leaving the circuit early. Karthikeyan fans have finally got something to smile about. India's finest looks good for 4th. Flavio livens things up and makes an early prediction for the result.
My short showing me first, the Barrichello said. You want to bet?
Ferrari live up to expectations as Michael Schumacher leads Barrichello to the checkered flag. Followed by the 2 Jordans. Flavio may have predicted the result, but the smart money was on this man. All 6 cars finished. It's Michael's first win of the year. Montero takes the first Portuguese podium in F1, while Karthikeyan scores the first points for an Indian driver. But what about Ferrari's standpoint?
I tell you one story, not so long ago. In Monza, we had the death of a marshal, and all of us drivers agreed we would want, for the first 2 chicanes, yellow flags. And there was no less than 2 or 3 team owners which told their drivers, you would not respect the yellow flag. Just ignore what you have maybe said or not said. We want you to race, and we force you to race. And it's the same people that have been today on the other side. So Formula 1 is a tough business. We're working very hard, and as I mentioned before, we have had a tire which is quicker. We didn't use that because of we knew what is going to face us here. I'm not saying that the others purposely choose something wrong, but whatever it is their problem, not our problem. And I don't think you can ask the people who are not responsible for to take the responsibility.
Michael leaps right up to 3rd thanks to the tyre debacle. Montero makes a giant step up with his podium result. Ferrari are back on equal terms with McLaren. Minardi and Jordan score some much-needed points, leaving only BAR on the starting blocks. The return to Europe allowed for some clarification of recent events.
The fact is that if you're the sporting body, you must follow the rules and you mustn't do anything that could put the whole of your organisation, the International Federation, in jeopardy because you failed to follow your own procedures, change the circuit, something goes wrong, American judge wouldn't listen to the teams wanted to chicane. He'd say, Mr. Mosley, you're in charge, you should not have allowed it to happen. Well, we didn't allow it to happen and we all know the consequences, but it is unfortunate.
Michelin announced their intention to refund those fans who attended the US Grand Prix and that they would purchase 20,000 tickets to give away free for next year's event. With this news in mind, the paddock was keen to get back on with the business of racing. But racing was looking increasingly difficult for McLaren. Kimi suffered an engine failure in Friday practice. His third fastest time becomes 13th after a penalty. Alonso may have had a bit of trouble with the turnstiles, but he had much better luck on track to take his third pole position of the season. The Renault flags are flying high for the French Grand Prix, and with Alonso on pole, there's plenty to smile about. His title fight could be helped with Kimi back in 13th. But both drivers are on a mission to emulate 4-time world champion Alain Prost. With Trulli just behind Alonso, the time is right for an out-and-out thriller. What can Raikkonen do to fight back? Kimi's only made up one place so far. Has he got a heavy fuel load weighing him down? Christian Horner feels the burden when a loss of fuel pressure forces Klian to retire on lap 2. Sato has passed Barrichello but attempts to wrestle 5th from Trulli, send him into the gravel. And back down to 10th. Alonso doesn't have to worry about cars in front. There aren't any. As his fuel load burns off, Kimi finally starts to make progress through the field. Eventually the McLaren pits. He's second, thanks to a long first stint. While teammate Montoya is being hassled by his old adversary, Michael Schumacher, for third place. Raikkonen's two-stop strategy leaves him second after the pit stops. Without the penalty, he could have been leading the race. Montoya is not a fan of anything that limits his speed, but hydraulics failure forces him to switch off his engine and park his car. It's his first retirement this season, but reliability is costing McLaren dear. Off-track excursions are an expensive waste of time for Sato. Fisichella pits for the third and final time. He's had a tough race thanks to a fuel rig problem and a loss of downforce. Now his engine has cut out. Unbelievable. He'll drop right back. Button won't be complaining though. He's now 4th at Fisichella's expense and looking likely to open BAR's points account for the year. Collecting points is something Renault have had plenty of practice at this season. They may be a multinational team, but it's still a perfect French finish. Alonso takes his 5th win of the season in a French car on French tyres. But for those with no French connections, the weekend was not so good.
Of course, we noticed already on Friday after the engine failure that it really turned around our weekend, and we did the best what we could in qualifying and in the race. And okay, second place, looking on that point of view, is a good result. But we still lost the points on Alonso, and that's what we don't want to do.
Only the top 3 finished the race on the same lap. BAR score their first points of the year. Schumacher was the main beneficiary of Montoya's failure. While a good strategy softened the blow for McLaren this weekend, they need reliability at their home event if they're to take on Renault. It's July, it's Silverstone, so all eyes are on Jenson Button.
Jenson's well better than Schumacher.
Good man, that's what I like.
2005's been a turbulent year for him, both on track and off it. But after 5 years in F1, how does he rate his time in top-level motorsport?
My career has been a little bit up and down. I mean, in 2000, when I arrived with Williams, it was fantastic. You know, I was very inexperienced then. And then I moved to Benetton for 2 years. The first year was disastrous. Some of it because of the car just being very difficult to drive, but some of it just because I was so inexperienced and didn't really know where to go with the setup. And then the second year at Renault, or at Benetton Renault, it started getting better, and I got more points than my teammate, who was Truly. And then I moved to BAR Honda, where as soon as I arrived, things stepped up another gear, really, I think, in the way that not just the way of driving, but also working with the team. And from then on, it's been very, very positive. The highlights have to be last year, getting pole position in Imola, my first pole position, and also the results we had, you know, having so many podiums. But it's nice to see that we're getting back on track with qualifying, and hopefully we can get some more podiums this year. That's my aim more than anything else at the moment.
From his reaction to his qualifying lap, you'd have thought he'd won the championship.
It's Kimi Raikkonen starting his flying lap into Kopp's corner. Here's a man with an awful lot on his mind. Whatever happens here, he's going to have to go 10 places back on the grid. Same scenario as the French Grand Prix last weekend. He hangs it all out because he wants to be as far up the grid as he possibly can be. He'll want to see P1 at the end of this lap because that'll mean P11 and an opportunity to attack. He knows his teammate Montoya is going to be at the front of the grid tomorrow. It is all to play for tactically, and Raikkonen is sticking it on the line here. He's almost 0.4 of a second faster than Jenson Button. Remember though, he'll go 10 places back from wherever he gets.
Well wide in Stowe corner, just about got away with it, but he would have given a little bit away there, but so fast down to the first sector. But surely he's not going to go light. He's got to carry some fuel to get him a good distance into this Grand Prix. But you're right, P11 would be the best, would at least save him something. He was 13th on the grid last weekend, finished second. If he can get up to 11, he's got a half a chance still of winning the Grand Prix. Different line altogether to Button through the final part of the complex, but still a third of a second up.
This is to put pressure on Alonso, who's now warming up for his flying lap. He'll be the last man to go. He'll be told what Raikkonen's done. He wants to put as much pressure as he possibly can on him to remind him he'll come through the field tomorrow. This has been a special one from Kimi Raikkonen. He goes across the line just under 0.3 of a second ahead of Jenson Button, and Ron Dennis loves it. Now last weekend, Martin, remember in France, he was right up the front of the grid, and it turned out he went 9 laps longer in the race than the guys he was racing against. So quick was he in qualifying. It really was an amazing effort.
With Raikkonen receiving a penalty for changing his engine again on Saturday morning, Jenson will start his home Grand Prix in second place. A fully packed crowd gather on a hot sunny day in Silverstone, and the battle is certainly heating up between Renault and McLaren, with Raikkonen back in 12th. But can Jenson Button get in the mix and a good result from second? The start beckons. Renault didn't expect to be strong here in Britain, so Alonso needs to keep his eye on the cars behind. Montoya makes a fantastic start and is right up there with Alonso. They're side by side. But Alonso plays safe, and it's Montoya that snatches the lead. Button falls to third, with Barrichello fourth. A wrong button for Sato leaves him stranded on the grid and brings out the safety car. This could be the time for Fernando to get the jump on the McLaren. But Montoya is just too quick and maintains the lead. Then it's Button, Barrichello and Fisichella. Klein got the jump on Heidfeld at the start. but running wide hands 12th over to the Williams. Montoya was called in early to avoid traffic, and now Alonso is in. Where will he rejoin? It could be close. Montoya makes his point. Alonso isn't far behind, but neither is Raikkonen. Kimi has fought back from his penalty. Now Alonso is there for the taking. But Renault don't have to worry too much as he's yet to make a pit stop. Now Kimi is in. Alonso retakes second ahead of teammate Fisichella thanks to his earlier stop. Now the second stops are approaching and Montoya still has control of the race, but Renault could put pay to that with a heavily fuelled Fisichella. His strategy looks good enough for a podium. But no! Bad luck strikes again! His engine stalls, losing him crucial amounts of time. All that hard work is wasted. And he rejoins behind Raikkonen. Back at the front, Montoya has maintained the upper hand despite Fernando turning up the heat. It's his 9th race with McLaren, and finally he gets the win he's been waiting for. Juan Pablo Montoya takes the checkered flag at Silverstone with Alonso in second. It's a satisfying sight at the team's home race. McLaren and Renault dominated the day. Jenson Button failed to maintain his qualifying pace, and only the Jordan of Narain Karthikeyan did not finish. Montoya takes the best trophy of all, with family and team there to cheer him on.
I think it's a great race, you know, it's the home race for the team and it's just amazing. I know how many fans and how many guys in my team wanted for me to do this, and it's great, you know, I'm just so pleased. It's awesome.
By Hockenheim 2004, Alonso was 5th in the championship. McLaren definitely set the benchmark in qualifying. Kimi took provisional pole ahead of Button and Alonso. It was looking good for an all-McLaren front row. The German Grand Prix has been a cause of celebration for the locals in recent years, but it's all changed this season. Their man Michael Schumacher could only manage 5th in qualifying. Brother Ralph hopes a kiss from wife Cora will boost his confidence from 12th. Pole position is the best place for Kimi Raikkonen to start if he's to reduce the gap to Alonso. Jenson Button did well here last year and could be in with a shot from second, but he'll have his work cut out with Fernando right in his mirrors. Montoya, however, gets a chance to see how the other half live at the back of the grid, thanks to his mistake in qualifying. While Trulli tries his best to steal Liuzzi's best dancer in the paddock title, although the crowd seem unimpressed. Nick Fry hopes Button can get the job done. The lights are out and he's swamped by Alonso and Schumacher. They're into turn 1 and there's cars all over the place. Montoya is flying and has to use his own bit of track. Trulli's Toyota attacks the McLaren, but overcooks it instead. Smacking into the back of Fisichella's Renault could aid Sato's collision course out of F1. Luck has not been on his side this year either. Now he needs to pit for a new nose cone. End of lap 1 and Alonso has no reply to the pace of Raikkonen. Schumacher is still 3rd after his off in turn 1 and Button is 4th. But it's not good for Mark Webber. His car was damaged in the first corner melee, ending another depressing run for the Australian. The Saubers are providing the action. Massa has a look at Fisichella while Villeneuve takes a slice out of Barrichello. That hands the Jordan of Montero a welcome birthday present, but gifting positions is not what the team expects. McLaren have got the speed. But there is one thing they lack. Reliability. Kimi's hydraulics let him down and rob him of another win. And once again, Alonso is there to reap the benefits. They might have the faster car, but it counts for nothing if it can't finish the race. Kimi's championship charge is slipping through his fingers, while Fernando takes another step towards the title. And it helps put Button in a podium position. But he'd better watch out. Juan Pablo Montoya is lurking in the background. Jensen keeps his eye on Schumacher in front to secure second at Ferrari's expense. Ralph pits from fourth. It was a good stop that gets him out behind Fisichella, but ahead of Coulthard. Montoya was on a heavier fuel load than his teammate thanks to his back-of-the-grid starting position. But the strategy has paid off as he's up to second ahead of Button. Fisichella is on the prowl and it's Michael Schumacher under threat. Michael has struggled with grip all race. And now a fuel feed problem helps Fisichella nip past for fourth. Renault can't believe he's still going. He's had brake problems since Sato's accident. And if they weren't happy enough, Fernando Alonso takes the final corner to win the German Grand Prix. It was an inspired drive from the back of the grid for Montoya. Fisichella did well to even get his car home, never mind score points. Dornbos finished his first F1 race, albeit last. Button did well to get on the podium. Reliability could be the deciding factor in this championship. So, what went wrong at McLaren?
There's simple finger trouble. There's a bleed nipple left, you know, that worked loose in the on the internals of the gearbox.
Is that one of the cheapest parts of the car?
It's just a part that wasn't tight enough. Simple as that.
The Hungarian Grand Prix is the second race for Robert Dornbos in Formula One. Temperatures are definitely up on Sunday, and in case your vision is obscured, that's Michael Schumacher P1, Juan Pablo Montoya P2, Jarno Trulli P3 and Kimi Räikkönen P4. The Hungarian Grand Prix is popular with the Finns, and former world champion Mika Häkkinen is one of the most famous.
First time you hold the umbrella on top of the two good drivers.
If not the most humorous. It's Michael's first pole of the season, and he leads into the most dramatic first corner of the year. Alonso's in combat with Ralf Schumacher, while Barrichello's on a mission to self-destruct. Attack from Villeneuve proved clear. Barrichello and Alonso pit for new nose cones. Rubens gets out first. Now Fernando joins him. Coulthard is left to pick up the pieces of a disappointing day for Red Bull. His former boss watches his drivers. Räikkönen passes Montoya rather easily. Ferrari will have their work cut out, keeping Michael ahead of Kimi and Juan Pablo. Alonso won his first race here in 2003, but there's no hope this year. He's struggling with back markers. Barrichello's having just as much trouble. Alonso makes his first scheduled pit stop and takes on more than he bargained for. It's not a good day for Renault. He rejoins behind Kimi, but he is a lap down on the Finn. The heat is on, but McLaren are cool under pressure. This is Kimi's big break to reduce the gap, with Alonso well and truly out of the points. It's pit stop time again. Kimi is really pushing Schumacher. Ferrari, get ready. Michael is in. Kimi has clear track ahead and gets the hammer down. But Ferrari have turned Michael around pretty quickly. Now Kimi stops. Has he done enough? It's a good, clean stop, and he gets out well ahead of Michael. But this wasn't on the tactical agenda. Montoya slows. He's out of the race thanks to drive shaft failure. While one McLaren leads the race, the other rues the team's poor reliability record. Sauber have quite a good reliability record. Until now, Massa pits with smoke coming from his car. His spark coils are overheating, but it doesn't stop them refueling. The team do what they can, but it isn't what they want to impress their new owners for 2006, BMW. Teammate Villeneuve is not as lucky. The same problem damaged other components, but he's got further to walk. But for once, Kimi has no reliability issues. It's his fourth win in the MP420, and the team are very happy. Schumacher makes the podium for only the fifth time this season, with brother Ralf taking his first of the year. But Fernando has little to celebrate. It's the first time he's finished a race outside the points in 2005. Trulli was happy with fourth after the first lap incident. Poor tyre choice made life difficult for Button, while Heidfeld and Webber finished fifth and sixth. But Kimi is glad to be back after his non-finish in Germany.
It feels good, of course, and the best way to go for holiday, so I'm not complaining.
Kimi has cut the gap to Fernando. Trulli moves back up to 4th, and teammate Ralph is now 6th. Renault are out of the top 8 in Budapest, so McLaren are only 12 points behind. Ferrari remain 3rd ahead of Toyota. Asia in the east and Europe in the west. Istanbul is the only city in the world which is spread over 2 continents. The meeting point between the Occident and the Orient is an exotic blend of tradition and modernity.
Really fantastic. You can see everything in one track. You can see Suzuka, you can see Spa.
Could be my favorite track in Formula 1.
Welcome to Turkey!
Kimi Räikkönen is the final man out on track for qualifying at the Istanbul Park. See the circuit for the very first time from his perspective. Istanbul has been the capital of 3 great empires. Now it joins the Formula 1 fraternity. Kimi Räikkönen will lead the field from the grid, followed by Giancarlo Fisichella. Then Fernando Alonso, and completing the Renault and McLaren lineup, it's Juan Pablo Montoya. Expectations are high. The circuit has the potential to provide some excellent racing. For the first time in Turkey, they're off. Räikkönen surrounded by the Renaults, and Fisi does it. Massa's got problems at the back, and Michael can do nothing to avoid the flyaway front wing. The championship battle takes to the track, but Fernando can't make the move stick. Räikkönen's pushing, so when Fisichella makes a mistake on the exit of turn 10, he seizes the opportunity. Now both Renaults are going for it. The McLaren is engulfed. But not that easily overwhelmed. Alonso rarely misses a gear. But his teammate is holding him back.
Fernando, you're faster than Fizzy, overtake him.
Button qualified 13th, and now he's giving Coulthard some serious hassle. Down the start-finish straight, Button completes the move. But Webber's having problems getting the job done thanks to a right rear puncture. Sam Michael gives him the once-over, and he's back in the hunt. Now Button disposes of Klian's Red Bull with ease. Webber's back in the race and wants to unlap himself from Schumacher's Ferrari.
In his position, I don't think how much sense it made to go for an attack like this, because one lap down, you're never going to make up this ground.
Button's making up plenty of ground as he's yet to pit. Now he's in. His start wasn't great, but he's worked his way up to third. Now he's got to do it all over again from ninth. Montoya's in for his first scheduled stop. It looks okay, he's set to go, but no! The fuel rig gets stuck. It's a disastrous day for Williams. 2 punctures for Webber, his collision with Schumacher, and now Heidfeld suffers a right rear tyre failure. What is going on? Raikkonen leads through turn 8. Kimi has Montoya between himself and Fernando. Can the second round of pit stops change that? Alonso pits. But there's more trouble with back markers. Montero and Montoya get in a tangle. The McLaren rejoins and the car seems okay. But running wide at turn 8 gifts second to Alonso. It's a good result, but it should have been better. Kimi delights the crowds to claim the first victory in Turkey. Alonso finishes second. But Kimi's confused.
Went on the last lap then, because Montoya was second.
Yes, Kimi, he was. He was struggling with a flat-spotted tyre and it got away from him, and Alonso was able to take the place.
Yeah, it's pretty tough race, you know. The pits, they lifted the lollipop and suddenly they drop it back at the end. I think it was good that I didn't took my hand off the clutch. I managed to bring it back in straight away. And then, I was just cruising to the end. And then I passed Montero on the straight, got in front of him, braked, and he just ran in the back of me. Those guys, they never look.
Montoya passes me, and he just comes back in front of me on those braking zone. We talked so many times about not moving on the braking zone, and the first thing he does, at two laps to the end, while he's fighting for second place, he just puts it in front of me.
But it was on the next lap that Alonso took advantage. The finishing order was different to the grid, but Renault and McLaren still occupy the top 4 places. Button finished 5th, while Dornbos gets his best result so far. Kimi has taken 2 points out of Alonso's lead, and the McLaren is looking increasingly like the car to beat. The Italian Grand Prix would have been Nick Heidfeld's 100th F1 race had it not been for a testing accident the week before. He will be replaced by Williams test driver Antonio Pizzonia.
And they say it's different from all the failures he's had before. But Martin, what about his strategy? Because on paper, one stop is quicker around here, but I don't think he can afford to do that. He needs to be 11th, 12th, somewhere like that on the grid.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be able to overtake cars fast enough if he loads himself up with fuel. So I would imagine he'll try and go as fast as he can, minimise the pain of the 10th place drop, and then race them.
I'm expecting this to be a high 1 minute 20. I think he's the one who can break into the 120s. He's got to be a lot of anger going on in this cockpit. It's an identical situation continuation to Magny-Cours and to Silverstone. Back-to-back races in July where he had an engine penalty in qualifying. On both occasions he came through to finish on the podium. Here he has to come through tomorrow to win this Grand Prix. Reliability has been the problem for him this season. On half of the Grand Prix, his weekend has been compromised by something going wrong in the car. He's on target to break into the 120s. Raikkonen is on the rampage.
He was brilliant through the Lesmo. I have to say, the driving this afternoon has been breathtaking all the way through. But Raikkonen just brushing the gravel out of the way with the sidewall of the tyre. He gets it in very early, but the back end's trying to step out. That cost him a little bit of time. He had a couple of tenths in hand. Was it enough? Over the line he goes. He is fastest. He lost a fraction of it, but he's still got enough. He will start then P11, and it is, well, what else can he do? That's the best he can achieve, isn't it? And a 1-2 from McLaren, but it was an inlet valve, is my understanding of what failed on his engine this morning.
But another engine change for Kimi Raikkonen on Saturday means he will relinquish pole with yet another 10-place penalty. So, what should have been an all-McLaren front row becomes a possible Renault gain. The fastest circuit and Button, but they can do nothing about Montoya ahead. It's anyone's gain into the first chicane. DC makes contact with Fisichella, then Webber taps the Red Bull. Kimi keeps clear of the debris, but Karthikeyan's left at the back of the pack. McLaren keep an eye on Kimi's progress. But it's not as good as they hoped. He can't find a way past Jacques Villeneuve. While teammate Montoya is increasing his lead over Alonso. Fernando is in for his first stop from second. Catching Montoya looks like a hopeless task. He needs to keep his focus on the other McLaren. Ralph and Kimi are into the final corner. Where will Fernando rejoin? It's going to be so close. He's behind Ralph, but crucially ahead of Raikkonen. Kimi is lighter on fuel and yet to make a stop. Alonso knows this and doesn't go defensive. Fisichella's in from second. He's doing well after lining up 8th on the grid. But Ferrari are having a bad day. Rubin's got the jump on Michael at the start. Now they're battling each other, but they're not even in the points. Everyone else has pitted, now it's Kimi's turn. The one-stop strategy has worked well so far. But there's a problem with the left rear tyre. After only 3 laps, Kimi must pit for repairs. The damaged tyre is replaced and Kimi can rejoin the race, but his championship charge looks to be in the same state as his tyres. Things haven't gone well for BAR either. Sato had fuel rig problems earlier. Now his battle with Mark Webber goes to the pits. The Williams is rather keen to get away, leaving the lollipop man wondering why he bothers. They're side by side in the pit lane. Who gets it? Into turn 1, it's Webber. But Kimi is a fighter, and there's more points up for grabs. Truly has no chance. But there are concerned looks at Michelin. And here's why. Montoya has the same problem with his left rear tyre as Kimi. The race leader is struggling with grip. Will he pit and hand the win to Alonso, or can he make it to the end of the race? Surely memories of Kimi's last lap failure at the Nürburgring can't be far away. They can't be far away for Flavio. Another race win could be on the cards. But not today. Montoya won his first F1 race again. "20 cars started and 20 cars finished. No points for Ferrari, and without his tyre problems, Kimi could have been second. There weren't enough laps for Fernando to take advantage of the McLaren, but at least he's ahead of Kimi and extends his championship lead. Connie congratulates her husband, but it could have been commiserations.
Yeah, it was tough. You know, I got to a point I thought, it can't be happening. You know, again, another one. But it was, the tire managed to hold on there, and I think we were quick enough all the race that, the gap we opened, it was good enough for that.
Being a family man these days, is Juan Pablo worried about the consequences of a tyre failure?
You hit something, you get out of the car, you go home all off. But, I'm going home happy, and I won the race.
Fisichella helps Renault's constructors charge and gains the crowd's approval. He's the first Italian to stand on the podium of his home Grand Prix since Michele Alboreto in 1988. The historic Belgian Grand Prix at Spa follows straight after Monza. The final round of the European season brings the news that Red Bull Racing have purchased 100% of the shares in Minardi. But it was Fisichella that should have followed the McLarens on the grid had it not been for an engine change on Saturday morning. It's the first wet race of 2005 and Montoya's on pole for the second time in a week. Kimi's under threat from Trulli. Alonso tries to go round the outside while Montoya has it all under control. They've made it round the... Then it's Raikkonen, Trulli and Alonso. But something's happened. Fisichella's had a massive shunt at Eau Rouge. He had a good... Leaving Montoya to stand back and watch as his teammate takes the last few corners towards another victory in Belgium. With Alonso second, the championship is not quite over. Not just yet, anyway. Once again, Kimi is the king of Spa, ensuring the title fight will go to Brazil. Button was third, Villeneuve sixth. Montero rounds off the top 8, while Red Bull get their first engine failure of 2005 for Coulford. But there were no points for Montoya or Pitsonia.
You know, the goal was for Kimi to win the race, not myself today, to be honest, to help the team and help Kimi. And we, you know, it looked pretty much as planned. But I'm not sure if he came out of the pit or something, because his pace before that was quite slow. So I'm not sure what happened. And went into turn 12, and he just ran straight into my right rear corner, not even the side or anything, you know.
The slicks were so much quicker. I felt like I was a lot quicker than Juan. He braked really early, so I thought he was trying to let me by. Put the car next to him, he obviously didn't see me. I tried to stop the car, but unfortunately I couldn't avoid the crash.
Raikkonen has a tough job ahead if he's to stop Alonso. Outgoing champion Michael Schumacher is third, with Montoya fourth. Ferrari will not win the Constructors' Championship for the first time since 1999. Whether it is Renault or McLaren is anyone's guess. São Paulo could set the stage for the crowning of a new world champion. Alonso will take the title if he finishes on the podium. Raikkonen will try and take the fight to Japan. Who will be the man to assume Michael Schumacher's crown?
Both of them deserve to win the championship. They've both done a great job. They're great drivers. I feel a little bit sorry that I haven't been able to push them a little bit harder.
Montoya set provisional pole early in qualifying. Alonso was the penultimate driver out. And he went quicker. But what about Kimi? The last man out made an early mistake. 0.7 of a second is the difference between the front row and the third. Kimi has got a tremendous fight on his hands if he's to beat this man. The top South American driver in São Paulo is second-placed Montoya. He could be the man to spoil Alonso's party. But Fisichella is just behind in third and has a crucial role to play. Kimi has it all to do from fifth. He needs to win. The lights are out and Raikkonen easily But what's happened? The safety car is out. Pitonia's getting out of a badly damaged car. It marks the end of a disastrous weekend for Coulford. Webber, however, makes it back to the pit lane, and Patrick Head remains optimistic. He's not the only one keen to resume racing. The McLaren is right on the back of the Renault's rear wing. But Alonso remains unfazed. The green light to start racing has been given. Juan Pablo is edging away, but Kimi is stuck behind Fernando. Renault hope to fight the McLarens, but it's becoming clear that they can't keep up with their pace. Trulli's had a frustrating weekend. An engine change on Saturday, a near miss with Pitsonia at the start, and only now he manages to overtake Karthikeyan for 12th. The pit stops have started, and Fernando is in. Five laps later, and it's the leader who stops. Kimi's able to stay out much longer than Fernando. He had more fuel in qualifying. This is where he can make the difference. Now it's time for Raikkonen's pit stop. There's Montoya. Kimi's not managed it. He's ahead of Alonso, but this is not what he wanted. Even with Kimi in front, Fernando is in the right position for the title. Dornbos was running well until a broken oil pipe forced him to a smoky end. Barrichello and Button will be teammates next year, so there could be some psychological games at play. It's time for the second round of pit stops. McLaren versus Renault. Lap 48 and Alonso is first in. 6 laps later, Montoya stops. Once again, Kimi stays out longer. Lap 59 and finally Kimi pits. There's nothing in it. But Juan Pablo's middle stint was too good. The win could have been wins in Sao Paulo, but McLaren's first 1-2 since Austria 2000 pales into insignificance in the light of this man's achievement. McLaren reached their 40th 1-2 finish and Michael gracefully gave up his title, but is sure to do his best to reclaim it next year. With 2 races to go, Alonso's points tally is impossible to beat. Raikkonen is second, while Montoya is tied with Schumacher. McLaren's strong finish means they now lead the Constructors' Championship by 2 points, leaving plenty of excitement to follow. He might be up there with the best in F1, but he doesn't forget his heritage, although in Oviedo, the champagne is replaced with cider. All eyes are on the new champion, but it must be difficult for Kimi to stand on the podium knowing he came so close.
Of course we're disappointed not to win it, but we knew that already quite many races to go, that we need so much luck to win it, and the luck hasn't been really on our side this year, so if it would be closer then yes, but now we knew it before, so okay, it's not nice to lose it, but he deserves it, so.
After the partying in Brazil, F1 moves east to Japan.
The 2 drivers, if you would stand for a moment and shake hands, I have been asked.
Alonso's the champion, but McLaren seem to have had the faster car in the second half of the season. Does Kimi feel robbed of the title?
It's always easy to think that way, but the fact is that we were not consistent enough. We had too many problems with the car, so that's why we didn't win the championship maybe, but okay, we have a quick car, and hopefully next year we can challenge for the championship and try to win more races.
The Finns have provided 2 world champions in Keke Rosberg and Mika Häkkinen. Were they an inspiration to Kimi?
I think so. I never had any heroes. Of course, I was hoping for the Finnish guys to have good results in Formula 1, but that's about it really. I ended up in Formula 1 in 2001. A big part of that was Peter Sauber to give me a chance to come, and then my manager to help me from go-karts to the Formula Renault in England, and then to Sauber. So really the story in a short way, and I'm very happy to be here.
Whether it's Formula 1 or rallying, Finland has produced a high number of top-level racing drivers like Mika Salo and JJ Leto. What is it that makes them so quick?
Maybe something that many families living on the countryside in Finland, and then you have a chance to go on the field with the old cars when you're 10 years old or 11, 12. So for sure it helps you to learn driving the car and handling the car. So I guess it's part of that campaign.
Atrocious weather during qualifying really shook up the results. Many of the top runners went out in these conditions. Montoya will start 18th, Kimi 17th and Alonso 16th. So where does that leave the Constructors' Championship?
For me, it's much more important to win the Drivers' Championship than the Construction Championship, but for sure that for the team and for Mercedes it's important to try to win it, and I think so we have the speed in the car. As long as we don't have any problems, we should be okay and we should be able to win it, but you never know, so many things can happen. So.
It's a Japanese car on pole position thanks to the weather, but the crowds only have eyes for one man. With his future in doubt, Sato needs to make an impression. But one happy. The safety car has ruined Ralph's three-stop strategy. He'll struggle to retake the lead of this race. Kimi and Michael are the last of the top runners to pit. There's nothing between them. Kimi leaves first, but Michael's not got so far to go and maintains his superiority. Both have got ahead of Alonso. Michael's under threat, and Kimi's closing fast. The Ferrari just hasn't got the speed and has to relinquish fourth.
Big.
Fisichella has already stopped. Now Webber and Button take time out. Problems for Button? In Monza, it was Webber and Sato side by side. Here, it's Button and Webber. But the result is the same. Advantage Williams. Things get worse for Button, though, when Alonso overtakes. Kimi's on the prowl, and his victim is Giancarlo.
Come on, Fizzy! Come on!
Albers did make it to the end of the race. Sato's excluded from the results for his move on Trulli, and Villeneuve receives a time penalty which drops him to 12th. That says it all.
I think this is one of the best team wins we've ever had. Probably Kimi's best drive. It was the last lap and probably the last opportunity.
It's been one of the most thrilling races of the year. Renault retake the lead at the Constructors for a last race decider in Shanghai. The final round of the season is also the final chapter in the history of several famous names in the sport. After 250 races, Jordan celebrate their last day in yellow before becoming Midland F1 in 2006. Pierre Dupasquier is a very popular man in the paddock, but takes a pragmatic approach to his departure. Peter Sauber has been in Formula One since 1993, but next year BMW will take over the reins. Will today be an emotional race?
Yes, I think so. I think so. One side is a normal day, daily business, but on the other hand it's very special, yeah.
After 12 years, there have been ups and downs. What was his finest moment?
The best memory, I think overall the fourth place in the championship 2001 and the 6 podiums.
Sauber and Jordan are not the only names to disappear. After 20 years, Minardi become Red Bull. Webber's 5th place in Australia 2002 must be their highest point.
A couple of laps towards the end, everybody realised that Minardi was going to score points at my hometown, Mark's hometown, and we don't keep champagne. And they went out the back, the motorhomes, to get some champagne, but before they could even go looking for it, every other team in the paddock was already on their way down, And that's what this place is all about. It's a family. We're all one big family, and that's what I'm going to miss the most is the people.
Probably the first 8 races.
It's disappointing not to win the championship.
Crashing with my teammate in Monaco, yeah, that was a low point.
I think there's been several high points. I think it was Canada when I finished 4th. There was the points in Australia at the first race.
When I found out that I was definitely going to be under.
Brazil,
Spa,
Imola and Hungary,
Malaysia, Turkey.
I have to say my podium.
Well, exciting. I guess the championship has been fun to watch for everybody.